Hey guys, welcome back to the Autologue channel. First off, thank you for the support that you've shown us with the last 3 episodes. As we speak today, we just crossed 100k on the first video. Hopefully by the time you see this video, it would be a little more. But thank you. It's definitely incentive for us to keep going and putting out more content. So going forward, we wanted to understand a little better what you guys, the ALcrew, want to see, what questions you have, clarify some of those questions. So we put out a couple of stories on Instagram where we asked people to ask us questions. So we got a lot of interesting ones, some which we knew were doubts for people, some which were quite unique. So let's just dive straight into it. I have them on my phone so I can look at each one and tell you what they've asked us. So first up, it's Sudeep who asked us, is it legal to roam with a custom bike? So we get asked about legality quite a bit. We've done some stories before where there's a highlight on Autologue India where you can get details on it. But to put it in perspective, the laws in India are a little unclear or not clear enough for customization. So about 2 years or 3 years ago, there was an article that said that everything custom or customized is illegal, but that's not the case. I'm actually a lawyer before I did design, so I have a background with law, and while I was doing law, the only real thing that I worked on was how can I make a legal customization setup where we take into account all the stuff that has been laid out. Even though it is unclear, there are some things that you know. So the first thing that you need to know is that earlier it was 3% body weight was allowed to be added to your vehicle without changing the dimension or any of the numbers stated in your registration certificate. So this is all mentioned in section 52, subsection 1 of the Motor Vehicles Act. So what that basically means is if it's a 100 kilo motorcycle, you can add up to 3 kgs, or that's what it was, then it was changed to 2%, which currently means you can add 2 kgs for every 100 kgs without changing the dimensions mentioned or any numbers mentioned on the RC, which means height, width. So your handlebar position is the maximum width, for example. So everything has to be within that. So stuff like that you cannot change. Obviously that also means that you cannot change any of the chassis structural elements because the companies tested the bike to function a certain way. So what that basically means is that as long as whatever is mentioned in your RC, you don't change that. If in case you're getting the color changed, you can go to the RTO. There's a very simple process with which you can officially get it done. And there is also an application that you can file for getting your modifications registered on the website of Vahan. So there's a link of that in our stories as well. You can go and check that out. So yeah, you can legally customize your vehicle. You just have to follow some simple steps. Let's get into the next question. So next up is a funny name, Anarchy Professor, who says, is there any change in the engine's performance while adding the kit? Again, something which we get asked pretty often, and it's kind of connected to the legal aspect of it. For you to work on performance and make something that has been officially permitted, there would be a lot of testing that has to go in, and considering the unclear norms that we have, we strategically chose to stay out of performance. We stick to performance in terms of aerodynamics maybe, but that's about it. Everything else that we do is mostly aesthetic. It's all about add-on panels that you can add. None of them say or claim that they're going to improve your performance in any way. So what I'm trying to say is that we don't really get into the performance aspect of it. Even if a certain build requires, like a customer wants us to do something performance wise, we would associate with guys who are, leaders in that aspect, who've been doing it and are sure of what's going to happen when you make that change to your engine, because we don't want any customer having issues and then coming back to us for something that we've not done. So we go to the best guys out there. So to close that question, no, we don't do any performance modifications. Our kits are mostly just aesthetic. So the next question is from the official Nivin. He asks us any custom kits for the CB200X soon. CB200X haven't made anything yet, but like the CB200X, we wish to make kits and accessories as options for all the enthusiast motorcycles. That's not easy to do. It takes time, effort, which is limited to do parts for every enthusiast motorcycle. Our goal is definitely that eventually we have options for everyone, but it'll take time. We do it one motorcycle at a time. Sometimes people think that we are a little partial towards KTMs or Dominers. That's not the case. What started out as because we had these motorcycles in our circle, it was easier to work on them. As we have evolved, we've moved more to 3D, so we don't always need access to those motorcycles. Once we scan them, we can work on them. It's definitely moving in the right direction. We're going to have a lot more parts and kits for all sorts of motorcycles. So for the CB200X, I'm not sure how soon, but definitely in the future. So the next question is from Harsha, who asks us, is there a chrome fairing with you people for the GT650? So Harsha, you must have obviously seen the Interceptor chrome rec that we've put out, and even a couple of GTs that have the chrome fairing. So at one point we were offering it. We still do on order when somebody really wants the chrome because he has the chrome tank and he wants it to match. But we clearly state that it's not a process that we do in-house, it's outsourced. So the quality control is not really in our hands, and we've had a couple of cases where you had pinholes and some surface which was, it had surface imperfections. So yeah, after a couple of cases of having these defects in the finish, we decided to take a call where we won't offer it. But in case somebody is hell-bent on getting it, yeah, we do offer it. Moving on, Sandeep Amin asks us, any plans to launch full body graphics? I own a Dominar Explorer kit. We recently launched graphics. We've got 3 motorcycles and kits that we've launched it for. We've done it along with close friends of ours at Barajness, who we've worked with before. So we've launched the Street X3, the Dominar for the Domiville 2, and also the KTM RC. And eventually we're going to add it for all our kits. And also we'll be doing graphic kits for all the motorcycles really soon. So next couple of months you should see a lot more. So now we'll just put together all the general questions that we've got. Starting off with, why are your parts so expensive? The process that we follow is not your traditional process to make parts that you have on your bike from the factory, for example. When a KTM is made, there are lakhs of bikes that are going to be built. So the molds that are made to make those parts are very different from the ones that you have to make when you're making a few hundred. When you're going to make kits like we do, you have to have the possibility of making repeated parts and with precision. So it's not easy to do it for low numbers. You actually need to make patterns in metal, which is a very expensive process. So you have to come up with ways where you can still offer the products that you want to bring to life, but at an affordable, or at least in our understanding, affordable price bracket. Some people might find it expensive when you compare it to maybe original panels that come from the company, but you have to understand these are handmade, one-off parts made one by one versus an automated machine that's churning out thousands on a daily basis. Let's move on to the next question, which is, can I fit the kit myself? So most of our kits are meant to be DIY kits where you can fit it yourself at home. But in some of the cases, like the ones which require a headlamp relocation, like the Dominar Explorer or even the Rec, we suggest that you go to a mechanic because it takes more than one set of hands to get things lined up and sit perfectly. So, I mean, there are people who've managed to do it themselves, but we would suggest or recommend you go to a mechanic for some of the kits that we have. But a lot of the kits like the Street X3 and the X2 are pretty straightforward and they just sit over your tank, so there's not much complication there. Totally depends on what kit you're getting, but we would still say that you can fit it yourself. So another one that we get pretty often, is there any additional vibration with your kit? So most of the bikes that we make kits for are single cylinder motorcycles. So Dominar, Duke, they're pretty rev happy bikes, so they already have a certain amount of vibration that comes from those bikes. So the kits that we make, they sit over your original parts, right? So there is some exaggerated effect of that onto the panel, but it is what the original vibration is, it's the same. It's not an additional vibration. And with time, from the time that we started out, maybe let's say with the Dominar Explorer to where the Dominar Explorer is today, we've made a lot of changes. We offer these foam pads which go between the panels which reduce the vibration as well. We've started adding rubber grommets to all the places where the bolts sit. So yeah, we've made improvements over time. So the vibration is, I mean, I'm not going to say there's no vibration. It's not possible. The bike itself has vibration. So those vibes will come onto the other panels which are attached to it. But they're not substantially higher than what your original bike vibrations are. So yeah. The next one's about warranty. So two kinds of warranty. If you have a new motorcycle and you're worried about whether your warranty is going to get void or not, or if you're buying our products and you want to know if we provide any warranty. So The answer to both is yes, but number one, I think service centers can be a little picky. So we've had a lot of people who've gone to service centers and got their customized kitted bikes serviced without any problem. But we've also had a couple of customers who've come back and said that they're not opening the bike. They're saying कि हम नहीं खोलेंगे, हमारी बाइक नहीं है, जो modification किया हुआ है ये कंपनी से नहीं आया है. So since there isn't much to gain for the service center guy to make that extra effort, you might have a couple of cases where people will say no, we won't do it. So the simplest way would be you could just take it off, go get your bike serviced and put it back on. If that's too complicated, if your relationship with the service guy is good enough, I don't think it should be a problem. But yeah, it doesn't void your warranty. There's nothing changed. It's not an illegal part, so you can add anything onto your bike which is not illegal. And as far as our products are concerned, we provide 6-month replacement on any parts. So if there's a manufacturing defect, if there's some problem with the fiberglass, because these are hand-laid manual parts, there is a chance that something may go wrong with temperature, etc, etc. So we offer 6 months replacement. So if you have any problem with your parts, you can just send it back and we'll send you a new one. The next one is for people who ask us about whether we do custom projects or whether we can customize their bikes. So we focus on the body kits, but every year we do 2 or 3 projects which are custom projects, where it's something which is really different and would become a marketing project for us, where we can use it at shows and events, and also it gets covered. So that's the agenda when we do a custom project, is to do something which is radically different. So one of those projects was the Ultimate Mojo that we did with Mahindra, which we covered in the previous episode. So yeah, stuff like that, really different, we can consider it. So if you have any ideas for a custom build, let us know. That was a lot of questions. Let's end it with that one. In case you're wondering where you can get our parts, obviously on the website, or DM us on Instagram and we will give you all the details. Thanks for tuning in, guys. That's it from this Q&A session. If you have any more questions, comment below or DM us, and maybe we'll make another video answering those questions that we left out this time. See you in the next video.